And Cricket South Africa recently held their annual awards where those involved in the sport were recognized for their efforts. As we look ahead to the upcoming season, our colleague here on Sports Live, Tando Mxoli, caught up with the director of cricket in South Africa, former player himself, Enoch Nkwe, about the past season and what we can look forward to in the upcoming season.
It's been a great year on the cricket front, both on and off the field. Things have been interesting. We've come close on many fronts. World Cup success, very close, closest we've ever been. But let's talk to the man who's been in charge of the whole project now, Enoch Nkwe. Sir, yes, sir. Interesting year, many successes, some challenges, but just in general, how did you feel about the past year in cricket?
Yeah, look, I mean, like you say, many challenges. There's always going to be challenges, and in order to achieve success, you need to go through some serious challenges, and this is what the last sort of 12 months, is actually what we as an organization, as a system, we've gone through, but we've been able to overcome those challenges. I mean, just looking at on the men's side, to go through a World Cup like we did last year, laying that foundation and putting up some serious performances where at one point it looked like we were going to reach the finals and maybe even win the finals, but it wasn't to be. And we needed to obviously go back to the drawing board, and re-strategize in terms of how we're going to approach the T20 World Cup, with some great momentum and having introduced some new faces in the setup. We believe that we have another opportunity to bring in one or two new faces, but also give ourselves the best chance to try and win the World Cup. And it's been a great with a lot of challenges, but it's been a great year. And on the women's side, I mean, it's what can you say? It's a team that's in transition, a team that is forever growing, and we're excited about the new generation blending in nicely with quite a nice experience, and looking forward to obviously the upcoming World Cup.
Let's talk about your job, because holistically you need to manage the entire process. You don't necessarily pick the players, but you need to make sure that as a country and as the teams, they're all moving in the right direction. We've got a big one coming up in 2027, and there are many targets, and some of them are not always on the field. How are we going with that in terms of building up a squad that the entire nation will be proud of and the entire nation will be behind? For example, like we saw with the Springboks.
Yeah, look, I mean, over the last couple of months, I must say, through all the challenges, there's been some exciting stuff that we've been doing behind the scenes. And part of that was obviously to really look at in terms of the strategy to 2027, in terms of how we're going to win 2027, meaning how we're going to win the World Test Championship and how we're going to win the Cricket World Cup that we're going to be hosting at home. And looking at the current players that probably not going to make it, and the players that will make it, but also looking at the rest of the pipeline from under-19 cricket, right through to, I would say, sort of emerging SAA, and we build quite a nice large pool of emerging group of players, SAA players, and that's something that we're going to be monitoring on a yearly basis, and we want to make sure by the time we get to 2027 we have the best transformed team that is going to go out on the field and represent South Africa and actually win the World Cup for South Africa. That's our goal, and we believe we can achieve that. And already there's been some exciting youngsters that have been introduced into the national setup, and we're going to be seeing that through the SAA program, and we're going to be seeing that through the immersion program, and we're going to be seeing that also a couple of bilateral series, that the Proteas are going to be played, not only in the men's space. I mean, we need to also be realistic in terms of the women's space, and how that is also going to transform to make sure that we create a solid balance. And as you can see, I mean, the T20 World Cup squad that has recently been announced, already there's two youngsters, that are under 19s that are already been picked into that squad, which already we looking at next year's 50 over World Cup, but also we're looking at a project that is beyond 2027. So there's a lot of exciting things that are happening behind the scenes. We're going to be quite aggressive with our camps, quite aggressive also in finding more content, so that we expose a lot of youngsters, both men and women. We expose them to a lot of opportunities, so that there's a lot of growth that actually takes place. That includes red ball cricket. So it's not only white ball cricket, so red ball cricket as well, because there's a lot of growth that actually takes place in that. So I'm actually looking forward to the next 12 months.
It's all good giving people exposure. Also, what we need to understand is that we're dealing with humans here. And sometimes a person might have the talent, but the timing might not be right. In terms of managing the times and the process of all these kids and all these exciting youngsters you're talking about, is there a clearly defined plan for the individuals? Because we're dealing with, like I said, we're dealing with humans at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, throughout the winter, especially in the National Academy, and also some of the Protea camps that have been taking place, we've had an opportunity to sit down with every individual, and actually draft a PDP, so a personal development plan, and actually go very deep in terms of understanding the person, in terms of where they are, because sometimes we can look at the skill and we believe now the skill is there, but the person, the character is not quite there yet, and maybe it requires another 6 months of some sort of intervention. And those are some of the things that we look at. As much as we might feel the pressure of exposing an individual, but we know internally that we got to make sure that we protect the individual and allow the individual, at the right time to be given that sort of opportunity. So the main thing is understanding the character, and we want also moving forward that our selection is not only just on performance, but also the right type of character that actually fits the environment that particular time.
I've heard you talk about the T20 team. The Test team, for example, has done very well on the international circuit, but there's still a bit of cry that we don't play enough Test cricket. Are there plans to fix that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're constantly engaging with other countries, other boards around the world, to look at a possible window, and maybe we foresee what potentially could happen over the next sort of 12 months, 24 months, is that when the white ball team is actually playing and the Test team could actually be playing at the same time. The reason is in this cycle we don't have any windows available, so we might have to actually create a structure where both teams are playing at the same time. Yes, there's a lot of content in terms of SAA, and that's where our goal in SAA cricket is that we focus more on the longer format and not T20 cricket. So it's red ball cricket and 50 over cricket, because we believe those two formats, they further develop an individual. Whichever individual that we pick, they get a good platform to actually develop their skills and the human element, but also the character as well, close enough to what they'll actually get at Proteas level. So SAA program, we're very aggressive on it. Recently we're currently busy with Sri Lanka A series, and there's another series that we're going to be playing at the end of the season. It's going to be an away series for the A team. We're also looking at some Protea white ball content, during the IPL. So we're just waiting to confirm one or two things with another board to see if we can actually schedule something there. And that's where again we're going to be giving some of the emerging players an opportunity, because a lot of our marquee players are going to be at IPL. So we want to use the sort of windows to try and give them a bit more opportunities, so that when we hit next season and we play in the likes of Australia, the likes of England, the likes of Pakistan, the big teams, the India, that we've seen enough generation of players that have been given an opportunity, have been tested, and can we throw one or two against the bigger teams, so, and those are some of the work that's going behind the scenes, and we're gonna go again aggressive with our emerging program, which is our National Academy. So, and that runs every winter, but in season we're also going to be looking at small gaps in terms of how do we further develop an individual, how do we check in with the coaches, how do we check in with identified players, how do we have more camps to ensure that we keep our philosophy, from a team point of view, from a system point of view, but also an individual development point of view as well. So yeah.
As we wrap things up, there's a World Cup coming up, the women's team. Let's start with the benefits of basically professionalizing cricket and how that is slowly but surely moving our cricket team in the right direction.
Yeah, it's been very exciting, the last 12 months since we've professionalized, domestic cricket. obviously there's still a lot of things that we need to, a lot of interventions that, we've just recently had a review just to see where can we close the gaps, what more do we actually need to do to make sure that it is super professional, because we need to close the gap between domestic cricket and international cricket. And part of our plans as well is to introduce SAA level in the women's space. Currently we have our S19 where the emerging group of players, but now we need to bridge the gap between domestic and international, which is a SAA. So, those are some of the exciting plans moving forward to ensure that the identified Protea players in the women's space, when they're not getting those opportunities there, enough opportunities, that they're getting opportunities just a level below, a level higher than domestic cricket, which is something that I'm excited about as Director of Cricket. I know the system is excited about. We just recently concluded the coaches conference, and there's been a lot of talks about the future, and how do we ensure that we protect the next generation, but how do we empower the next generation? How do we further develop the next generation? And those are some of the plans that we want to put in place. Already we have quite a few countries that are knocking on the door in terms of asking about our A program. How's that going? Can we put something together? And that is exciting. And that's going to be exciting for a lot of our young players, Proteas that obviously are not going to be getting a lot of game time for the Proteas, and they're going to be getting a lot of international exposure, just below the Proteas. And those are our intentions, and we want to make sure that again we strengthen the whole pathway right through to the Proteas.
Last question, can we go all the way and get an ICC trophy for women? We've lost a lot of experience, but also we've gained some exciting youngsters, but I don't know, are those youngsters quite good enough to go and win a major trophy like that?
Yeah, look, they're surrounded by characters that have built a new DNA for women's cricket by reaching the final of the T20 World Cup. So they know, they're well experienced, they've experienced what it feels like to be on that stage. So we're expecting a lot from them to further develop these youngsters and really show them the ropes in terms of how to actually grow at this level. These youngsters, part of our plan is obviously the bigger plan of 2027 and beyond. So, and also 2025 Cricket World Cup next year, because we want to make sure that we're not only working with 20 players, we want to work with 30 players, and half of them are future youngsters. And so going into this World Cup, the belief is there. There's no doubt, because it's something that we've done. And yes, we haven't had a good run over the last year since reaching the final of the T20 World Cup, because we needed to throw in a couple of new names into the mix and blend them with some experience and give them a bit more experience. And yes, the results hasn't gone quite our way, but one thing we're happy about is that at least there's some level of experience, and we're excited about this coming World Cup. And obviously once it comes to tournament time, it's a completely different ball game. And we believe the characters that we've picked, they're the right fit, to actually win us a trophy.
Thank you for your time and all the best for the upcoming year.
All right, thank you very much.